Good morning, everybody. This is Simon with ToughTrader.com and Trade and Perform Coaching doing the market preview for the 29th of November. It's 8 a.m. Let's take a quick look at what we've got going on. So ES is slightly positive, up 2 points. NQ has seen some profit taking pre-market, down $1.25. It actually had a pretty quiet night overall relative to its volatility yesterday. Definitely came in. Oil's down 19 cents, nothing terrible. It's really a pretty neutral opening overall. No dramatic change in the from yesterday's status of basically we had to come in assuming that buyers are in overall control. I think that's probably a pretty safe assumption to make, right? So let's get Globex high and low in. Before we get started really quick, past performance is not indicative of future results. This is for educational purposes only. I'm taking my trade plan and sharing it with you. Take what you like, leave the rest, right? Make sure you are not blowing up. Drawdowns suck, right? I can tell you from my one-on-one coaching experience. So our traders, they can do this day in, day out, put money on the table almost every day. It is possible. I can also tell you that there's some traders who can't do it every day, and that's okay too. But I know very few traders who lose money consistently who ever turn it around, right? That's just a fact. Very few that lose money consistently that ever turn it around. They say things like, I won't do this again. They simply don't bring themselves to the discipline of following a trade plan, right? So it's very simple. You're either following a trade plan or you're not following a trade plan. One of the two, right? It's not both. So let me get my profiles up here real quick, and then we will roll from there. Hold on one second. I know I had a chart I wanted. There we go. That is the chart I wanted. Is the chart I wanted. And so now what I want to do is duplicate that chart, which I will do here shortly. ES. And I see where I've got it wrong. So hold on one second here. And then I want to kill this chart. Interesting. Okay, I will fix that in just a second. Chart settings. Give me 1 second, guys. I got to get my domes set correctly here. This is correct. This needs to be closed. This needs to be duplicated. And put in for Q. Okay. And then finally, we'll just go with that for now. Then I need to duplicate this chart, E-mini, one more time for a higher time frame setting. There we go. 30 minutes. In business. Okay. Excellent. Okay, let's get Globex high and low in. I apologize for the delay there. ES 26.29.75. New high at Globex high, right? So remember, if we're not trading back inside, your first clue is this thing weak. We trade back inside, right? Yesterday's high, requirement number 2. Next requirement that the market's in trouble. Want to go through this step by step, right? This was the afternoon swing low. If we trade below, right, this is right by value area low. If we trade below this 2609.50, we fail to hold that or regain that and hold in a substantial way, that is your beginning of your sell-off, right? This is where everyone got short squeezed clearly yesterday out the North Korean news. There was clearly responsive buyers. We closed at the high of the day. We traded up overnight. Not a lot. I would expect balance coming into the day, right? Normally when you have a trend day up, you get the following day as balance. If we get below 2609, right, which is a pretty decent rotation down at this point, right? We're talking from 26.29 to 2609 is a 20-point rotation. Put in your notes, below 2609, something's changed. We shouldn't get below 2609 today and hold. The other question is the rotations are increasing in ES. I would write that down in your notebook. Rotations are increasing, right? Yesterday we rolled from 26.21 to 26.09, right? That's a 12-point rotation down. Granted, it was in news, but it's an expansion of range intraday. We then went from 26.09 to 26.27, almost a 20-point rotation up. Key in on your 10-point rotations, guys. If you're trading sub 10-point rotations, make sure it's part of a strategy that involves momentum, because you're likely to get that 10-point rotation right now, right? Make sure that you are up on that, up and on that process very clearly, right? Let's get Globex low, which I believe came in at 26.23 1/4. Not much to the downside. We pretty much held value area high. There's not much to glean other than no one came in to decide to sell overnight. Bitcoin, the ultimate in bubbleism, is almost at 11K this morning. So it's actually trading at 11,305 right now, up another 10% overnight. So I don't know what the hell you can do with Bitcoin, quite frankly. I used to own a ton of it. I sold out of all of it. So I'm clearly not in Bitcoin, but I just wonder what it's going to look like when the masses can easily short. There's no vehicle, if you're not a qualified investor, to be able to short Bitcoin. You have to actually almost put up a banknote saying that you're good for the margin calls, right? And right now, I just don't know anybody I know very few non-institutional traders that can short Bitcoin, and I'm sure anyone who is short is extremely sorry. Let's get NQ going here really quick. 64.2850, Globex high. Just poked our head up here. Just dop that in. And then we're going to go into 64.11, which I thought was decent. Let me pull this chart up really quick. Close enough for hand grenades. Color, blue, style. That's not showing up very well, so I'm just going to write that in. Globex low, 64.11. There we go. So we got the information down. So now let's go look. Okay, so the first thing that I'm looking at this morning when I come in, right, I'm going to go reference my market internals. I know a couple of things, right? So let's start at building block by block so we understand what we're looking for in a trade today, right? So the first thing I'm going to write down is if I'm bearish, I have two things that I'm going to make a key note of if I'm bearish. First of all, every asset class is getting bought. Forget Bitcoin, right? Oil is getting bought up. Russell 2000. Look at the upswing that this is a monster afternoon move in Russell, right? This is not bearish, okay? Tops of markets. So what you're going to read is you're going to hear a lot of people go, tops of markets have explosive moves. That's true, right? But again, it is not worth looking for a top. There's plenty of time to short after the market breaks down. At the same time, we want to be aware of what it'll look like when the market does break down. So on Russell, right, if you get below this point right here from yesterday afternoon, right, there is a problem. Caution to the downside right there. We'll color that. And we'll label it. In Korea, swing low, caution if we get below, right? There we go. So I marked that off on my chart. I know there's a problem if we get below that swing low. Same rule for all of these, right? Number two, my market internal. So number two, where's my neighborhood to help me out? One way or the other, I need to know that, right? So let me pull up my chart. There we go. Swing this over. Okay. So nice and relaxed, right? There's no need to rush. So first we're going to go look at ES. Okay. Let's erase all the lines. Is the mouse visible to everyone, guys in the room? Mouse, you can see it's coming across, no problem. Okay, great. So this is my neighborhood of help right here, right? I basically want to draw, there's no secret about this, value area high. Let me stretch it out to make sure I've got it right, right? Just going to take it step by step today. No rush, right? Because I want to see what the internals look like when we open. Value area high, value area low. So to give you an example, when we had a broad day like this, right? I like to go back and reference prior days to see if I can't get some help understanding what the market will look like. So I go back and look at a broad day like that. And I want two requirements when I'm going back and look. I want it to come somewhere near the top of the market, so I have an idea of what that looks like from the top, right? And I want to see how it got treated the following day. So realize we're trading 26, 28.50. So we are above 26.20 is value area high. I'm going to expect that first time into 26.20. If the internals are neutral to positive, then I'm going to get a responsive buy off that 26.20. Second rule of thumb is if we spend 30 to 45 minutes hanging out above this level and we fail to come in to this area, right? I'm going to assume the market is going to attempt to push out, right? I want to say that again. If in the first 45 minutes we fail to trade into this area, I'm very cautious on even thinking about the short side of the market, number one. Number two, where do I find an area where we've had a wide area and we've gapped above and we opened above the prior day? Well, this isn't quite at the high, but it's pretty close right here. There's another example coming back right in this area right here, right? So I can go look at these two specific areas and I can get a pretty good idea of what the market looked like. Unfortunately, going back, I'm trying to see if there's any example here. And almost in every example where you have a wide body like that, what I notice immediately, see how there's a wide body through here? We gapped, we never touched. There's a wide body down through here. Notice that we opened up underneath the main point of control and rejected out on that day. I know that we closed at the low. But in cases where we had a wide body and we opened above that area, right? So there's not a whole lot of examples of that. We can go back to this. We see how we opened just above. We came back and tested the value area high. Here, I'll scoot that up so you can see this, right? Wide area. We opened above. We just tested in. If I spread this out just a little bit, if I spread this out just a drop, okay, because I want a model of what this will look like. There we go. I want a model of what this will look like when I come in. So again, a pretty wide area, right? Notice in this case, we opened inside the range, but we did not overlap value. We pretty much got above and held above that value area high. Really what I want is even a better example of that. I want to see what it looks like when I have a wide area like this. So you'll see here, we opened above. It's not really super wide. We opened above. Notice if we don't get below the neighborhood, push up and close at the high. Here's another example of what essentially turned into a trend day up here. If we break this day out on its own, you can see it didn't end up being a V shape, right? But you'll see the majority, we came down and then the afternoon ended up being a trend up, right? Look how the morning handled that next day. We opened up and we balanced sideways. Notice, I want you to notice this about this because this is what I'm thinking about today. We opened above, we came in and tested the value area, but we weren't able to really close into that value area and it consistently rejected. If we go look at the 26, we're going to see that the market internals, right, versus what we had yesterday. What did the market internals look like on a day like today, which was 1026? We can go look because it was right around the corner. I can drag that up and go have a pretty good picture of, hey, what am I going to see right away? So let me get back to 1026. There we go. Way too far back. Sorry, guys. There we go. So look at the 26th, right? First of all, what I'm interested in, what did my advancers look like? Notice, as everyone knows who's been in the room on a regular basis, 1500, right? 1500 is my first key. When we open above 1500, I know we're going to drive. Now, I want you to notice this here, right? We opened neutral, right? So these are 15-minute bars. We opened neutral, right? But we failed to fill the gap. We got half gap. We spent the first 30 minutes and we did not. So this translates to this, right? We opened above. In the second period, we dip in, we close the gap, right? So what does that look like when you're actually when we're actually trading 1026, 1025, 1026? That's right. Let me make sure I have the same charts up. Minimize this. I wonder why this is consistently one date wrong, because that is 1030. What we're looking at is 1030. It did this right here. 1026. Hold on one second here. Dun, 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 dun. 25. 1026. Because the reason I know that is, very interesting. That's fine. I'll go back and cover that, and just I'll look in just a moment to see why that's off by date. But look at the important part here, right? Look at the internals. We open up on the 26th, right? Where are we coming in on the advancers? Here's there. Why I had the wrong date. There we go. Advancers above 1500 right out of the gate. See that? The volume, advanced decline line volume, right? The ratio is above. I want to point this out, is above 1 the entire morning, right? So we do a little dip in, we come in and fill the gap, and we find consistent responsive buyers in what is a relatively narrow range. Basically, I want to use any kind of weakness to get long. I expect some variation, hopefully with a wider range, of this particular date, 1026, right? What will it look like if we push out? Well, two things. First of all, this morning, we will fail to fill the gap, right? So obviously, we're opening up +3. We'll see if we fill by the gap, I mean the closing print of the day, right? Number two, it will be strong. There'll be very small rotations to the downside. Tick will be healthy, right? If we open weak, tick isn't healthy. I'm going to expect a push in, and I'm going to look for responsive buyers, right? I'm going to look for responsive buyers out of the zones I've already posted in this. Excuse me, let me go back to the right date. Here we go. Wrong computer. Here we go. I'm going to look for responsive buyers in this neighborhood. Now, I know I'm trading at 26.25. I know my point of control. This is not a pretty point of control. Notice the point of controls are usually more well-defined. See that? This is very poorly defined through this area. So that I put two notes in here that are important. Because that area is poorly defined, meaning the point of controls is poorly defined, I would wait for evidence to see that they are going to be responsive buyers in that area. This is relatively easy to get traded through if we trade back into this area. I'm warning you now. Additionally, see how the profile is really distorted below through here? I'm pointing out specifically through this area, right through here, right? I'll draw it so everyone, make sure that everyone sees it. In general, right, these are anomalies, low volume nodes, whatever you want to call them. The market likes to come in and fix these. And you notice the biggest anomalies right down here, right? So I'm concerned right here that the market will choose to come in and repair itself down here. And then we end up balancing inside that range. And what do we do if we balance? We fix the volume that's in here. We've got to fix this. So there's two areas that need to be fixed in the neighborhood, right? See how usually they're nice and rounded and they get fixed, right? If I go to a past chart, right, to find where the, see, if I look at this chart right here, see how this whole thing, get my drawing tool, see how this whole neighborhood, see how poorly constructed this profile was? Okay, compare it to this, right? There's not a lot of destruction. It's really, this is a much smoother curve on the outside, right? There's really not a lot of jagged edges. See how many jagged edges are here? So the market likes to come back, and what does it like to do? Smooth out that edge. If you combined these two profiles, what you'd end up with is a profile that looks like this, right? Which looks much more like all the other profiles. So if I get back into the range, right? So if I'm on this day, I'm going to go, hey, if we're doing the preview for the 16th, I'm going to look at it coming into the, excuse me, for the 17th, working off the 16th, I'm going to go, hey, the market wants to repair all of this. And when the market gets done repairing that, we find responsive buyers. And what you're going to find is how it repaired that, right? So then we can go, well, how did it repair that, right? It's a good question. So if we look, we're going to break that date out, different computer. Here we go. Okay, if you'll notice, we came up, we opened up just underneath our neighborhood. Our neighborhood's where our friends are, right? We know there's resistance. We pushed up, we rejected right in front of this low volume node right here, right? I'll draw it out again. We rejected right in this area, right through here, right? There's your rejection. We came down over here. See where there's a hole in the profile? We found responsive buyers. And then they said, well, there's one more little area that needs to get fixed. And we came down and fixed it right here. The next day, right, We spent another day consolidating, and what we did is the market said, well, we're not quite ready. We haven't filled in all the volume. We don't have enough, and even though it fixed the anomalies, there wasn't quite enough room to move. What did the market do the next day? Notice this is really interesting, right? See how we left this one little area right here unchecked upon? We come right back, almost right to it. See how we very mechanically go one tick above and then reject? This is another balanced day, right? We were just filling in the volume. Notice the next day we gapped. The market said, hey, everything's been fixed down here. We are free to go about our way and have an up day, right? So using that as my market knowledge, right? I try to make this as ABC and Sesame Street as possible so people get an understanding. I don't want to overcomplicate it. All of y'all are smart, but you have to understand. In this profile right here, there is repair work to be done. This needs to get repaired, and this needs to get repaired. Okay? Now the question is, where does the market come in to repair? The market makes three choices. We can gap and simply elect not to repair any of this. We can come back in, repair this, check up on value area high from yesterday, go, okay, we've had a rotation down 26.28 down to 26.20. It's almost a 10-point rotation. Maybe we dip a little bit in. We find it up, we consolidate above, and then we push out and we go, the market can repair, because what has to be repaired is we have to get over the node. Remember, there's going to be defenders here, people who got long that would like to see their position stay profitable, so they're going to defend here, right? And then if we get past here, right, because notice how thick these profiles are. See how they get defended? See how thick they are? They get defended coming back over here. This doesn't, don't worry about this. This neighborhood defended all the way over here, okay? So when we look, we're going to expect some defense, but we don't have a lot of friends. This is a pretty thin neighborhood as neighborhoods go, right? And they may come down and go, hey, the neighborhood has to get repaired down here. We fix it, and then we balance inside this area. Tick advancers and tick will be pretty neutral, and we should be able to find constant responses. My warning here is if in the first half hour you end up with an open drive lower like this, watch out for long liquidation, right? Same story on NQ. Let me switch over there really quick. So everyone has the zones. Everyone knows what I'm going to be doing at the zones, right? All the members do. So if we switch over to NQ very quickly, and we ask the same question of this profile. So if you look yesterday, prior to the news coming out, right, it was weaker. But if you'll notice, here's the top of my neighborhood, right? This is where I was willing to get long yesterday morning. We pushed into the meat, very nice, fat, thick development, right? See that? We pushed into the meat. What did it take to push past that meat? We came through. Notice in this profile, this is the only area right here. How am I doing? I'm doing all right. This is the only area in this profile that really needed to get fixed. Everything else really looks pretty good. So notice, because there was nothing to fix, we zoomed in. Everyone realized it was North Korean fake news, and we zoom right out. There's nothing for the market to do down here. Now the market, but what this is left in its tracks is a very thinly, poorly auctioned area through here. Do not be surprised if we get underneath this 6410 area, which I wrote in the notes last night. If we get underneath the 6410 area, do not be surprised to see a widening rotation and very fast markets through this area, right? You have nothing to lean against. All this information from a multi-day perspective is still here, but this is the most important piece of information and can get traded through very quickly, right? So in principle, you'll notice I use this neighborhood to find long location. It took a news piece of information to get us below the point of control, right? Here's my value area for today. So if I use that same concept in terms of neighborhoods, I'm asking the same question. Is there anything that needs to get repaired? Well, we have a poor high relative to the low. The low is pretty good. Nothing needs to get repaired down here. There's really no clear anomaly, right? And that brings up two problems. There's not a lot of reason for us to fill in if we get underneath value area low, right? There's not a lot of reasons to pause and reverse. And if you look, this is Monday, this is Friday. These two dates do not count, right? This is this is Tuesday, and this is Wednesday before the holiday, right? We checked up from Wednesday on the holiday, throwing out these 2 days. We checked up on value area high yesterday afternoon. That means this has been tested. That means this has been tested and can easily slip through. There's nothing to repair on this date. I want to point this out. And we are poorly auctioned below. Now, I'm not bearish, but I am telling you, when you get these setups and we get underneath the neighborhood that's supporting us, you'll notice we're opening inside. So I expect open auction in here, right? I expect open auction because we're opening inside yesterday's value. But if we get underneath here, this can get very slippery underneath. Be aware, 64.19, we can have a 100-point down day. That would put us below here, right? This is not even 100 down. We can easily come back in and re-auction this area, right? This is the opening print that's yet to be tested either in Globex or in the RTH, and we have not been, I put in the trading notes, we have not traded below in either the 24-hour or the RTH. Let me move this. We have not traded below this area since 11/21 in Globex or any other session. So all of this down here is fresh area that needs to get repaired. So what am I going to do? What are my trades for today? In NASDAQ, we're opening inside value. I actually want to pause and wait and see what it does. I expect it to have range on both sides. There's a big seller there somewhere in there. I don't know who it is or why, but there's a big seller in NASDAQ. Someone constantly fed in with very good market internals, offered supply all day long in NASDAQ. And why do I know that? Because the market internals were very strong. ES pretty much went straight up all day long, no sellers. NASDAQ will usually run with it. Russell was up pretty much all day long, right? Someone was feeding futures. There was some very big seller in NASDAQ. It was essentially a balanced day. So the answer is I want to see us get above that 64.19, hold above that 64.19. That was the point of control for Tuesday, right? And there was a seller there. We are opening up at 64.17. I want to see if we can get above. If we can't get above this, right, I am cautious if we get underneath Tuesday's low, right? You'll notice there's not the white zone. There's really not a white zone. It really is comprised between 64.19 and 64.26. Also, the points of control for volume and the time point of control were very widely separated. Why is that important? I want to show you this here really quickly on ES in particular. Okay, so notice yesterday, I got 2 minutes, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm looking for, to be specific, 10-point rotations and 30-point rotations in ES, tick divergence, delta divergence, and getting above my last seller, just like I do every day. That's what I'm looking for. After rotations down, I am not eager on the short side. It's going to have to be a really clear, clean setup. Okay, see how the volume point of control and the TPO point of control in the same point on ES. See how the volume point of control and the TPO point of control are separated. This is a problem. Why is it a problem? Because when these are usually side by side, and that means all the volume profile traders and all the TPO traders are looking at that going, hey, I can probably get a response there, right? I can either short against it or go long against it. Half the world trades on volume profile. They're looking up here. Half the world trades on TPO profile, right? They're looking down here, or market profile. You lose half your support. You have fewer pieces coming together at one point to help you out. We're about to open. Let me get the chart set up with tick here really quick. Next, I want to see if we trade through the opening print multiple times. And lastly, I want to get a good look at the market internals. I plan to do nothing for the first half hour. I want to see how it shakes out. Yes, insert, symbol, tick, plot. And I'm going to have to do something to get started earlier in the day than what I am getting done. So I want to see where tick opens first thing in the morning. Looks like we just opened. Tick isn't, no, that's not the open yet. It'll give me a little message. Off by a moment there. I want to, again, I'm watching for open drive higher. I'm looking to see if the seller comes back in NASDAQ. And then finally, I'm just watching for which piece is set up, right? Which piece is set up and what the rotation sizes look like. And I'm taking my time to find my trade. Most importantly, all you need is one good trade. Be aware that people are shorting in the hole looking for tops and that the rips to the upside are very painful. I am looking for setups to grab these rips to the upside. They're coming off of 10-point rotations. I am hunting these very, very patiently. Russell, gapping up. NQ, ES, gapping up. I'm going to go through all my internals here real quick. Notice my tick is pretty damn neutral out of the gate, right? Almost flat, right? and NASDAQ is right into the 64.19. As a matter of fact, if you're uber aggressive, you can short that against the high of the day. It's basically a 10-point stop from yesterday, and see if you catch your sellers coming back in, which is exactly what I'd want to do if I were being uber aggressive, right? Again, there's no rotation. 30-point rotations are key, right? And finally, what do the market internals look like as we're opening up here in the first couple of minutes? Do they support an immediate tell, right? Is it an immediate tell that we are having a run up? Come on. So I know what it looks like when we have an immediate run up. Okay. So advancers, right? That's right here. My advancers are reading 1208. That's not what I usually get for an open drive higher, right? My decliners, we don't know yet. It's not a very big decline number. It's not a very big advance number. I'd like to see us get about 1500. There's no immediate tell for me there. We'll see what it looks like at the end of the first 15 minutes, right? But that is not the makeup of an open drive higher. And as a matter of fact, that NASDAQ is a pretty nasty opening right out of the gate. And I should have shorted that 64.17, 64.19. So just so you know, if we don't get back about 64.19, that guys, there is a heavy seller there. We're right to Globex low. Notice that ES and NQ are pretty strong. The internals do not support a trend day up. As a matter of fact, if we close back in underneath yesterday's high, I'm probably willing on a counter rotation back up. If I can get a little stutter step in here, I am probably willing to be aggressive to the short size on small size with a stop against the high, right? That's what I'm willing to do if that sets up properly, right? So that's my trade plan for today. My first long on NQ, this is very thin area, 63.85 to 63.80, right? I'm below value area low. You'll notice we've driven straight through there. Now we'll find out if they can make it stick or if responsive buyers come back in. Again, tick is not indicative of a market that's running away. And lastly, I did not cover whether there's any econ today, so let's go look really quick. Usually the guys remind me, but no one's reminding me today, so we'll go look. Not that I care about it, but it's good to know what is there. Whoops. I do not know if I just terminated my, I did not. Let me fix this here real quick. There we go. So for this morning, we have 9:45. Nothing. 10 a.m. Fed Chair Yellen testifies. There you go. 9 a.m. 10:30 crude oil inventories, right? Heads up. NQ is showing weakness right out of the gate. These two are very rare that they go in completely opposite directions, okay? Very, 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 very rare that these two go in opposite directions. So I'm going to leave, for our guest, going to leave them in the room for a setup. Is everyone clear on what my trade plan is? 63.85 is the first place I'm looking for responsive buyers, right? 26.17. This is the point of control from the TPO. I'm looking for a response out of here if I can get down and retest this area, right? If I can get into this location, right? I'm looking to see, we have a neutral opening on tick. Do we get underneath Tuesday's high in AS? If we don't, right, I think it looks kind of like it could follow NQ, but if we don't get back underneath the opening print, guess what? They're just going to drag NQ up by its heels all the way back up. NQ is below its neighborhood, right? It's below, let me show you really quick here. I have too many charts going on. Let's clear this. NQ. Okay, first warning sign. See this? We opened up inside, rejected out of the point of control. It was nice, fat, and delivered. All these people, everyone in here right now, this is where we spent 90% of the day, right? These people are now trapped, okay? This has already been tested. The question is, can we defend off this value area low? That's what they're trying to do right now, right? But it's already been tested. So even these guys, already had their opportunity to defend. They did. And now they're going, rut-row, what do you need now to break out? You've got to get above your value area high, right? It's a pretty tall order at this point because guess what? What's going to happen? If you're long here, and remember the market weighs big picture versus small picture. Small picture, you have trapped buyers up here, right? And they're now going to have to get back above this in order to make a break. Additionally, it will take a good amount of energy to push through here. So even if we get up, we're probably going to have to take a pause up here, right? Or balance through here to get the energy to continue through this area. To give you an example of that, so you have a reference date for what that looks like, right? You will see that when we drive through here, see when we finally got underneath, we just pierced underneath here, right? But the main neighborhood held us. Look how once we came back up, see how we came back up? People that were up here that were trapped, it's offered out to these people. This becomes a situation where we can re-auction and trend down for the day. Just be aware of it. Doesn't mean we will, just means we can. And look how this got set up. Prior to this, right? If you look at this day over here, we auctioned straight through here. See this? On the upside. What the market did was it came back over here and it said, this neighborhood never got tested from above, but since it's been auctioned over, it was weaker. So they tested it, they held it. Notice they tested from above, they tested to below, right? And they said, okay, we're satisfied, it's been tested, comes through. What does it do? It builds in another area of support. We now need to get above this area of support and beat this area. So watch how it handles it on the next day. Notice we gap straight through, test onto this support, and we end up with a trend day up. So that understand if you look at this and you go, well, hey, this is pretty bullish, right? The market had to correct the inventory. People got too long up here, came back to correct, to shake out the loose hands. This is over a 3-day period. We shook out all the loose hands. Everyone who wanted to sell sold here, gapped above, and went. Now you know what the challenge is, right? So now what we got to come back and look and see is, well, what are they going to do now with ES? The neighborhood that needs to get tested. We've already tested from above, right? This area down here has yet to be tested. Got tested on a Friday, but that was a half day. We're yet to get tested down here at 63.80, right? If you will look, that area conforms along with a couple of other pieces of evidence to 63.85 to 63.80, and I'm looking for evidence of a reversal, right? Does everyone see that? And we have potential open drive lower on NQ. What am I looking for when the market's pushing down like this? I'm looking to get above my last buyer. So I'm going to take a pause now. I have a couple other charts I need to go through. Internals are still not supporting on ES a trend day up. We're at 1350 on the advancers, right? We're at 1.06 on the advanced decline ratio. Okay, usually 1.3, 1.4 supports. That would make me think that this has potential for rolling back in, right, and re-auctioning some of this area. But clearly, no one is nervous about NQ to this point. Give me a minute. I need to check over a couple other charts, and I will be right there. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Almost down to that 63.85, 63.80, and I'm looking for an excuse. I'm simply looking for an excuse to be a responsive buyer in that area, guys. Something's wrong here. Oh, there we go. That's what's wrong. I got it. We are testing Globex high in ES right now. Again, there was no sellers there yet. If I get below that first 5-minute low now I'm concerned, right? I look for them to try to come back and run up NQ as well. That would not surprise me. NQ looking pretty weak still. Again, I plan to be an attempted responsive buyer in the 63.85, 63.80. It's a yellow zone. That break below Tuesday's low. What I'd really like to see is a break and a snap back above, right? Notice we're re-auctioning all of this. There's no volume in here. This is what you end up when you get into an area of no volume. This is very common for this push down, guys, just so you know. Pretty close. I want to see us get above that last seller. ES is pretty strong. I'm pretty close to fishing for a long on NQ this morning, just FYI. But not yet. Give me just a second, guys. Just a little bit more. Let's panic it out on a break below Tuesday's low. Little bit more. Remember, this is opening to a trend day down. Be aware of that, right? Be very aware of that. Again, 63.85. I'm going to a half size double stop. I just missed by a tick, but hopefully if it drags back in there, if not, I might have to come out a little bit on it. I will do that if necessary. I don't know that it's necessary yet. I'm sitting patiently. If it came right to the tick, I don't get anything here. So there we go. So I am long at 63.85. And I have a 20-point stop on this, guys. I'm being pretty generous with the stop. I'm reduced size. It's into an open drive lower. I've not gotten above my last buyer. Keep that in mind, okay? Okay, I will tell you when I see, if I see and when I see a reversal signal on that. I do not have that yet, okay? Got to get above my last seller, right? Which is a pretty big order at this point, okay? But remember, ES is pushing, NQ is down. I'm staying long this NQ position unless they stop me out, just FYI. I got my initial response. I don't have a reversal signal on NQ yet. So remember, I'm half size. This will be equivalent to a 10-point stop for me if I get stopped, right? I'm way down there. I'm giving this room, right? I'm willing to work this area. But I do not have any kind of reversal signal. I have neutral on the internals, neutral, right? And it's very likely that at some point we find profit taken in ES, but right now I'm good on NQ. It could, but right now, nothing's saying that it's really ugly. So picture me long. That's a nice rotation down, 64.20 down to 63.80, right? 40 points of rotation. That's been a key rotation. I'm pretty comfortable here. If you're not, right, you can bail right here and now. There's nothing stopping you if you're scared. I'm willing, I want to be clear. My risk plan says it's okay for me to take a stop here. I've adjusted size, giving it room. I'm going to let it rotate up. I'm looking for a push back to the mid, right? So very calmly, just looking back for a push to the mid. Nothing's horrible on the internals on the market. People are getting a little scared, right? I'm looking for a push back to 64 towards 6,400. We'll see if we can get it. I'll scale along the way, right? But I have no predetermined knowledge that I'm correct, right, or wrong, one way or the other. Let us lift you up. Yes, still pushing highs. Come on, Mr. Market, you can do it. $63.90 small scale. I couldn't get it, but didn't get it. Okay, guys, you got markets going in opposite directions. On the one hand, people are right. If ES gets weak, NQ will crater at this point like this, right? You'll find a ton of sellers. If ES stays strong, so the internals aren't arguing strong or weak. They're actually arguing, it's actually arguing for a push back in on the internals, right? We're just at all-time highs. I'm not going to short that, but it's actually arguing for a push back in on ES. So please manage it according to your ability to tolerate risk. It's early. There'll be other trades during the day, right? I've adjusted size and I'm sitting patiently. That could mean I'm just patient enough to let my stop hit, right? Yes, new highs. Come on, NQ. There's some big seller in there. Look at how opposite the market is. And look at the tick, how bizarre that is as well. Very weird, right, guys? Just be aware this may just be very late people. Nothing is confirming the upside move yet. There was a disconnect in June. You're right. I don't know that that's what we have, but this is weird, right? You clearly have a seller in NQ. Top of the hour coming up. I'm looking where we are. We just came down to that 63.80, right to that value area low, right? There's nothing down here. Remember I said the top part had already been taken care of, right? See how the top part of this had been taken care of? This doesn't count. So now we came down to check up on this area right here. I'm looking for a long out of this. I definitely think I'm in the right neighborhood, right? There's no question in my mind. We should get a response, and it's possible we come right back over here to retest, right? Here's the point of control, TPO point of control. We've done the most volume down here at 63.87 now. So again, I think I'm right. Could prove to be wrong, right? That's part of trading risk. So anyone who doesn't like it, you can bail on it. There's nothing wrong with it. I know what I'm doing. I'm staying with my process. The pressure has to be coming from Apple or someone big like that. We got to get rid of that seller. May need one more test down to tag that 63.80, actually. So I'm not sure which way it's going to go. Split market, guys. Split market. Got it. So NVIDIA is putting pressure on the market. Thanks, Daniel. I appreciate that. Good info. New lows, NQ. So 65 punches me out of this trade, right? Be aware. 65 takes me out of this trade. I will actually add back here a little bit more, right? Wow. Look at that. So I'm lining up at 63.71 to add to this position. Oh, come on. I just missed it. Got my 63.71, right? So that actually brings my cost back a little. Again, that's that area we have not traded below since we've been there. That is open drive lower. If I get tagged out, I'll be totally fine with it, but I think I'm pretty comfortable. I've actually just brought my costs back a little bit, so that's good. Again, tick is not negative. Internals are not negative. It's one index getting pounded. Everything else looks good. On the other hand, NQ reverses now, and ES will fly. So cautious getting bearish in the hole. That is, by the way, panic and mostly retail sellers. It's not how institutions generally sell. They don't usually trip over each other to get out. So just FYI. I mean, we can't have a trend day down there, but it's unusual to have a split market. Well, one market will have a trend day down. You've also taken out a lot of the risk at this point, minus 50. Again, we have not gotten above our last seller. We have not gotten below our last buyer in ES. Trying to keep all these concepts and ideas front and center, so you know how to manage your risk, right? If we get above that 63.80 now, that last seller, wow. My cost, by the way, is back to almost 63.80. This is my break even now with the ad I made down 63.71. Again, I told you knew I was going to have to work this over a wide area. And I'm just not panicky. That's all there is to it. Come on. Tick getting negative to neutral. Again, I've got, other than the market's up, I've got zero reason to be short ES, right? I'm not below any neighborhoods where they support me. Nice job, Tom, on the first trade on NQ. Ralph, nice trade on your end. I'm offering back what I took. I'm offering out what I took at 63.71 at 63.85. That's done. Okay. So I took it 63.71. I'm offering out. Everyone clear on that? Okay. Now I'm riding the trail. I'm now above my last seller. I plan to ride this. That's how you do that. Okay. So now everyone who wants out, you put the proper stop in relative to the risk, and you work those areas, you have a good chance of getting paid, right? Steady as she goes. Steady as she goes. Let her rip. You have plenty of time to pack in. This guy is short now. Let's see if this guy defends. You want to see if these guys panicked out? Let's see how much volume we got in there. Right? And so I'm telling everyone, 63.85 was a number. You got a chance to get out at 63.9, almost 63.90, right? I'm staying with the trade, but I know where I'm taking my stop, right? And I've moved my entry all the way back now, right? Because I've pulled 17 points out of what I added here. I believe my average is around 78 or 79 now. Okay, so this is my break even on this trade. And we have not closed above this guy still. We needed to close above on a 5-minute. We haven't been able to do that. So heads up. Somebody's nervous in NQ land. I'm adding back some of what I took out from that 71. I'm adding a little bit back here at 77, 76. Come on, work it up. Work it up and out. Oh, Enki's just tripping over itself. This may end up being a stop for me. Just FYI. Be a smaller stop now. No U-turn. Not yet. And wow. Within a tick of getting my stop hit. That does me right there. That's a stop. So not a horrible stop, half size, but look out below. And I'm totally fine with that. So that ended up being a stop of 65 from an average of about 68 on half size, right? So 10, pretty good size stop. And ES, nasty. So we all know there's days where it ends up being ugly. So just heads up. Again, if you waited to get above and close above your last seller, you haven't gotten smoked one time through here, right? I adjusted size, plenty of opportunity to get out of here when we came up above 85. Just make sure you know what your risks are and that you can handle them, right? That would be my constant response to that. And I'd watch out on ES. White zone's a big stretch, and I will take again, due to the nature of this push down, smaller size, 63.43. Okay. Again, this is trend day down in NQ. You can wait till you get above your last seller. If it V-shapes, it V-shapes. So be it. What a split personality market. If ES plays catch up, wow. And my advice to you is if you cannot take the stop, right? If you cannot take the stop, do not trade in this white zone, right? This is as trend day down as trend day gets, right? You can wait till you get above your last buyer and work the retraces. You don't have to buy into the hole. You just don't. I am long off that 63.43. I was right into that white zone, right? 63.43.75, right into that white zone, right? Again, this is non-normal behavior. We're down 75 and it's straight down. You're catching a falling knife by definition. Remember, ES is not participating in this, right? Not yet. If too many people get short here, guess what? You get sprung to the upside hard. Wow. That is panic if ever there was. Remember, down 100, I'm pretty interested in holding my positions down here, right? That's mid of the half gap through here. Again, waiting to get above your last seller helps significantly. And I'm not full size until I do. I'm just slowly nibbling. Okay, so not normal on-plan trade, right? Not. Panic at the disco. ES pushing below Tuesday's high. Long liquidation, guys. Watch out on ES. I'm small in this area. I'm waiting for this area to get worked out. Wow. I saw that open underneath value, but I didn't, and I knew that we could long liquidate, but holy cow, I didn't expect us to actually long liquidate today. Into the white zone. I believe we found the buyers. See how volatile they can get this. Tick is only negative 355. That's the funny thing. It's not funny, but it's funny. It's not. It's all very concentrated selling. I'm just telling you, it's all in the NASDAQ. The internals are all right. Bill, you have a read? I know you sent me some stuff. I just can't read it fast enough. Oh, yeah, I saw that. Okay, thank you, Bill. But yeah, that's why I'm interested in what your read is, if any. Yeah, I agree. I thought like I said, I thought ES could push back in. That's what it's done. Dan, thought process on ES, what are you looking for, if anything? Nothing right now. The markets are completely split from one another. So I'm on vacation here. I'm just waiting. I was thinking we would push back in. That was my thought process. The internals did not confirm trend day up. We're now trapped back into the range. My assumption would be is that we push back down to the other end of the range. That would be my thought process, right? We've closed back into 62.26, right? My thought process would normally be they're going to probably push back in at this point. Usually when you trap back into the range and internals they're not fantastic. They're not bad. They're just not good. Usually you'll travel back in, re-examine some of that area lower. So I think it really depends on whether the NASDAQ crashes or not. That's a pretty nasty down day there. That's what I mean by the exits get pretty thin. Wow. Yeah, I believe ES comes in too. That's my thought process. But we are certainly in a nervous market, guys. So heads up. I'm about 1/3, almost at 1/3 my normal size. Almost 1/3 my normal size. Okay, so I'm giving this plenty of breathing room, but this is ugly on NQ. You do not have to follow me, right? No panic in ES, none. It's all concentrated in one area. What a strange, strange market. Still can't get above our last one. I need you back above 40 at this point. Thank you. Let's go. Backside test is white zone. I'm not shorting NQ here. I'm not looking for a refund trade there, obviously. Scaling some of what I took all the way down there. Again, I'm small in size. Here at 63.43. Okay. Again, I'm working this. Guys, you know what? For those of you who are in the YouTube, thanks for joining us. I forgot to turn it off. I'll kill it now. Pretty much nailed that move to the downside. Or can't find the YouTube broadcast.